All right, everybody, I am back with a brand new DC update, and I'm just giving everybody forewarning that in today's video, I am going to be ripping both Peter Safran and James Gunn a new one, and they freaking deserve it. And we're going to look at some stuff here today. Right now, the San Diego Comic-Con is going on, and so much information has come out of the DC out of the San Diego Comic-Con in regards to mostly DC toys. If there's anything big breaking that happens, I will be reporting on it. But Peter Safran and James Gunn aren't there. And keep in mind, they are the heads of DC Studios, that they plan on launching this brand new universe next year, and they're not even there to promote it. And we're going to talk about why. We're going to show you what Peter Safran said. James Gunn can't even come out and talk about it because he knows it's not right. And yes, it has me pissed off. You want to get people excited for a brand new universe and you're not willing to show your damn face down at the San Diego Comic-Con? Shame on you. Screw you. You don't care about DC. You don't care about the fans. Period. There is no excuse he can't be there. And the bull crap of he's out there filming Superman and he's out there filming Peacemaker Season 2 doesn't mean jack squat. Because you know what? Look at what happened when Batman vs. Superman came out. Go back and look at what happened when they announced Man of Steel and all these other movies, and how more than a year before they got released, they were at the San Diego Comic-Con hyping that crap up. And you're telling me these cheap-ass people who are the heads of DC Studios can't be there for the fans? Screw off. I'm just telling you right now, unacceptable. Do your damn job. And then people are going to come in and say, well, his job is to be, go out there and direct and write Superman and write and direct Peacemaker. It's all about Gunn. It's all about James Gunn. James Gunn can do whatever he wants. He's the god of DC. I've had it. I have freaking had it. I've had to deal with my dog this week. I haven't had time to do videos. And every time I turn around, there's some asinine thing being posted about the Superman production. It's ridiculous. Now, we have a lot to look at today. So this video is probably going to be longer than most of my videos. And you'll just have to bear with me. Now, my dog is doing a lot better. I actually took her outside today. She's still knuckling on her foot. She doesn't have complete control of her left leg, but she is starting to get around, which is good. But she's got a long road ahead of her. In fact, we put out carpet. We got these cheap rugs from Costco and cut them, and they're all over the downstairs so she can get around without getting hurt and sliding across the floor. So for anybody who's wondering how the dog's doing, she is doing a lot better, and hopefully she's through the worst part of this. But let's take a look at this DC stuff. So it says here that Warner Brothers Games officially acquires the developer of Multiverses, Player First Games. I have no idea how they even have the money to freaking do this. And Zaslav doesn't care about these properties. Nobody down there cares about these properties. The company is going to get broken up. And I just pray that David Zaslav has nothing to do with Warner Brothers when this all goes down. I hope that it gets put in the hands of people who actually care, because it's obvious that Zaslav does not. Now, this I find to be ridiculous, and just so people know, I love Mora's art. His run on Batman, Superman, the comic series is just amazing if you guys haven't checked that out. Kevin Feige says he occasionally thinks about an MCU and DC crossover. I don't know when in the heck it would ever happen or how that would happen. We'll never say never, but no plans. Not currently. But you can't tell me they haven't thought about this, because that movie would make a ton of money. Now, we're also going to talk about a comment here. I hope I can remember if I didn't grab the still of a comment that he made in regards to basically something like Deadpool versus Blue Beetle. I don't know if it's in here or not. There's so much information that's come across. I don't know what I grabbed and what I didn't. Now, I thought this was interesting. This James Gunn posted this. Again, he likes to promote himself a lot. The stuff that he posts about himself is just, man, talk about a narcissist. T-shirts that people bring to the set, stuff like this. This guy can't help himself. He thinks he is God's gift to DC. This one I don't mind. This is this is obviously Corn Sweat as Superman. He posted this, but yeah. The other one I could do without. Now, I talked about this in my last video about the Batman series, but if people haven't checked out that video, you're going to want to check it out. But it says the Penguin ends going into the Batman Part 2, hence showrunner. We are the bridge between the two films. We're going almost directly into the second film Matt Reeves has planned. So it's nice. Apparently the first one takes place just weeks or months after the end of the Batman, and then the new film will take place right after the end of the Penguin. And there are rumors that we are going to have a Batman appearance in that series. So it has been released. Well, I don't know if this has been completely confirmed, but it says the final runtime for The Joker 2 is 2 hours and 18 minutes, which is a long, long runtime for a film like that. I already talked about this in my last Batman video as well, that Matt Reeves and Dylan Clark are actively looking at ideas for the Batman spin-off series. They do want to branch off and do more stuff. They'd already planned other things. I talked about that in the other video, but they ended up getting yanked out from underneath them. But like I said, if you haven't checked out that video for all the details, you should probably check it out. Keanu Reeves on the Colbert Show. I don't know if it's Colbert or Colbert. I don't know how you say it, but Keanu Reeves confirms that Constantine 2 is still in development. The no's started to become a maybe, which became a kind of yes, and right now waiting on a script. So they do plan on doing it. If you haven't checked out the first film, I do believe it is still streaming on Max. So this has been reported by many, many people, and there hasn't been anything released in regards to DC except some information I'm going to talk about here in a few minutes, which I think is ridiculous. But it says DC Studios reportedly will break some news at San Diego Comic-Con despite James Gunn, the head of DC Studios, not having a panel there. Ridiculous. Here is some new promotional here is a new promotional image for Batman Caped Crusader, which does premiere on August 1st on Prime Video. Now, I'm probably going to have to try and binge these because I believe it's the next day when Zack Snyder's, or close to this, when Zack Snyder's Rebel Moon extended versions are coming out, and I am going to watch both of those the same day and get reviews up on each of those. But just keep in mind that in the coming weeks, I'm going to have a lot of reviews coming out. And if you haven't already, like the video, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you will hear when these videos end up getting posted. But I am very much looking forward to Batman Caped Crusader. This is very much a spiritual precursor to Batman the Animated Series. This is the show that they originally wanted to do but had limitations on. And I do like how this mimics a little bit about the original promotional art for Batman the Animated Series. So Mark Guggenheim speaks about Berlanti's Green Lantern. He said it was going to be awesome. We had James Mangold's go-to production designer. We had the woman who designs the costumes for The Boys and a million other superhero shows. Talking about, I believe, what was going to be on the CW, but never came to fruition. But, hey, we're going to get the cheap-ass version we saw for, Superman with freaking Guy Gardner. Yeah, I'm so looking forward to that. Now, a lot of people were sending me this, Batman versus Superman Dawn of Justice. They were changing all of their cover photos. In fact, everything that had to do with the DCEU this past week was changing their cover photos. And I don't know what this means. I don't know if there's anything to read into it, but until something is announced, I'm not getting excited about anything because I've seen this company, Warner Brothers, screw over the fans so many times that until something actually happens, it's hard to get excited for it anymore. And I grabbed some of those, as you can see here. It says Justice League Movie just updated their profile picture. Man of Steel just updated their profile picture. Still my favorite shot or promotional piece from Man of Steel. Now, somebody asked James Gunn, Sir James Gunn, Nick is done filming his scenes, but the whole movie isn't done yet. That only means Lex Luthor may be just the villain who hides in the shadows, the mastermind in the film, and not the main villain who Superman will fight. James Gunn replied with, "No, Lex is the primary villain. We only have a few days left of shooting. Only 2 actors are left." So we don't know who those 2 actors are, but this was posted days ago, so they should be officially done filming Superman before they do any pickups or reshoots later on. Now, a lot of people got all up in arms about this one too, and I want to talk about my feelings on this. So I believe she is, I don't remember who she's playing. Is she playing, at any rate, Maria Gabriela De Faria shares what she's excited for fans to see in Superman. She said, "I'm very excited for the audience to see a good, colorful, happy story about our favorite superhero." Happy story? These fight scenes that we're seeing? Now, he can be happy, but you have to have the serious elements too. Superman is not all just colorful, happy, and good. That's not Superman. It's never been Superman. And so if they go over the top with this in the other direction, you're going to lose a major part of the fan base, because it's important to know that the most successful superhero films over the last 10 years have been the serious films, not the goofy films. And we don't need this to turn into a goof fest. So I have fears that this is going to go over the top with it to the point of being silly, more aware of itself and its silliness than taking itself seriously. When Henry Cavill announced his return and was on the circuit talking about it, he said he was looking forward to showing a more happy side of Superman. But we didn't get to see that because they canceled it and went in this direction. And again, we're going to talk about what Kevin said, that I'm going to talk about what it means and my feelings on it. Hopefully I grabbed that still. So it was also confirmed this week that the Batman 2 and Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow are confirmed to have IMAX releases. So they are going big with these movies. Now, I'm actually excited for this. This comes out of DC Comics. It announces Justice League Unlimited from writer Mark Waid and artist Dan Mora. I really like Dan Mora's art, so I'm excited for this title. It'll be interesting to see how it plays out, but we'll see if it's any good. As long as it has the Trinity in it, I'm there for it. All right, now, before I talk about the last photo that I grabbed, the one that's got me all up in arms, basically, I didn't grab a still of this other quote. Kevin Feige, or however you say his name, he came out and said, people talk to him on the street and, congratulate him on Blue Beetle. And he says that the audience doesn't understand the difference between Marvel versus DC. Now, here's what I have to say about this. All right, so I wanted to flip over to the camera to talk about this. First of all, there was a distinction between Marvel and DC. Marvel was more lighthearted. DC was darker and more mature. There was a clear difference. Now, you might want to say that back when this all started, the audiences still enjoyed the DCU. They paid a lot of money to go see those films and did for 5 years, whereas Marvel was more lighthearted, and people clearly knew the difference. Where DC started to fail is when they started to mimic what Marvel was doing and made every movie a comedy. Case in point, Blue Beetle. There are some moviegoers that don't even understand that they're not part of the same universe because of the tone. They all think it's under Marvel. They all think it's all part of the same thing. DC had its own identity, and it made a lot of money when it had its own identity. But you have to remember, Peter Safran was there for the last 4 or 5 films that all failed for DC. He's now in charge of DC Studios, along with James Gunn, who had the worst projects for the DCEU. It's mind-boggling that they handed the keys over to these 2 individuals. No matter how you look at it and what the evidence is, there is nothing stating that these are the right guys for the job. And on that note, let's see what Peter Safran said. Peter Safran on why DC Studio Superman won't be at San Diego Comic-Con. From my perspective, his perspective, guys, his perspective. He doesn't care about the fans. He doesn't care about what's right for DC from his perspective. Somebody show me when his perspective was the right perspective. Please, somebody show me when his perspective was the right perspective. I'll be waiting. He goes on to say it's just too soon. A year is truthfully a long time for a campaign. Really? Every other major comic book movie did this for the San Diego Comic-Con to get the fans excited. So one of two things is going on here. He's either a cheap bastard and they don't have the money for it, or they are not confident about their product. And then he goes on to say, from our perspective, and what does our mean? I'd like to know. I think we go stronger and harder over a shorter period, rather than stretching it out. That's our instinct on that, Safran said. Who made that decision? When he says we, our, who is he talking about? Is it him and James Gunn? Because I'm telling you, these guys do not have the instincts. I can't stand the smirk on this guy's face. It's just like a freaking middle finger to the fans. This is all I see this as. They are either not confident in their product or they don't have the money to do it. Because as we all know, the entire reason they said they're starting this DC Studios is to shop Warner Brothers to sell it off to other people. That's already been confirmed. I don't know who they're going to expect to sell to, but man alive, this looks like nothing but a joke fest. So yeah, guys, I am all fired up about what's going on with DC right now. I just have this feeling that we're about to get screwed with this universe. I have a feeling that they're just going to ask us to bend over and take it. And I will never stop fighting for what we had, because what we had was gold, and they're replacing it with this garbage. It looks like garbage. It appears to be garbage. Now, the other thing that came out of the San Diego Comic-Con is there are a bunch of new figures coming from McFarlane Toys. They announced another wave of Batman the Animated Series and also the Batwing. They also, Hot Toys, announced another Batman, which looks actually two different Batmans from the DCEU. And why do they keep making figures for a universe that nobody cared about? Oh, that's right, because their merchandise sells out right away and people actually enjoy it. So they'll continue to milk the money from it, but they won't give the fans the actual meat and potatoes. The whole thing is ridiculous. What actually I was more excited about as far as the San Diego Comic-Con goes is that Mondo also announced that they're coming out with some more Batman the Animated Series figures, one of those being Scarecrow, another one being Batman Beyond, and I don't remember what the last one was for some reason. But what they did show, which I'm excited for, my favorite cartoon of the 80s was Thundercats. I'm a huge Thundercats fan. And they announced Lion-O. They're going to be doing a whole Thundercats run. That I'm excited for. All right, guys, so there's my DC update for the day. What do you guys think about all this crap that's going on? I find it extremely hard to get excited about something that the studio doesn't even act excited about or wants to share. It's either they don't want to share it because they know of the backlash, it's an inferior product, or they just don't have the money and just don't care. Either way, it's not a good look. I don't care how you spin it. You could spin it that they're busy actually working on projects. That doesn't cut it. You could take 2 days to go and speak to the fans. But they ain't doing it. They ain't doing it. And I hold them accountable. All right, guys, we will see you on the next video.